Well, first of all, try to stop the sweeps, try to make sure that HERF is in fact a dedicated fund for highway infrastructure and infrastructure maintenance of our primary secondary roads. I think you probably know, going back again to the state budget situation, we also, well, to back up for just a moment, because I don't want to, I guess, make that assumption, but when I refer to one-time, one-off methods for balancing the budget, I'm referring to the fact that that the state legislature and the governor sold off state-owned properties, including the Capitol office buildings, to investors. They went around the constitutional limitation on the aggregate debt that the state of Arizona government can incur. That original constitutional provision, obviously now 102 years old, limits us to $350,000 in debt. That's obviously a little antiquated and needs to be revisited. But they bypass that by issuing so-called certificates of participation. But the bottom line is that's no different than bonds. And the state government, that is to say all of us as state taxpayers, are obligated to buy those properties back 20 years from now when those certificates of participation COPs mature, and the investors will have made $616 million. We've pledged lottery revenues, and we've pledged HERF funds, all again to pay for short-term operating costs and balance the budget. The HERF funds need to be dedicated for that purpose. HERF funds have been swept to pay for DPS, Department of Public Safety, and public safety related costs, and that's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I'm an ex-cop, and my wife, Kathy, is an ex-cop. She was a trailblazing female police officer many years ago. But first of all, I want that fund and the monies to go into that fund to remain there and be used for that purpose, including the federal gas tax monies, the Federal Highway Trust Fund monies that we all pay every time we gas up at the pump. And to directly answer the question, I want to create a state infrastructure investment bank. I've got a background in public finance, having worked with charter schools in Arizona and all over the country. And by that, it's a very simple concept. It's a public-private partnership where I would be, in my budget proposal, asking the legislature over a series of years to appropriate a modest amount of funding that then is used to attract and leverage and partially secure significant private sector capital investment. The state taxpayer funds serve as a first loss reserve, a debt service reserve, but can be leveraged at least 5 to 1, if not greater, with private capital. The private capital investors' only recourse is to those funds and to the infrastructure itself. In other words, the projects undertaken through funding by the State Infrastructure Investment Bank do not allow the investors recourse to the full faith and credit of the state of Arizona government. Again, it's a concept that's been employed very successfully in a lot of different sectors, including the charter schools sector, where there have been virtually no defaults whatsoever. And I think we can establish it in Arizona and build it through a period of years and use that state infrastructure investment bank for important infrastructure investment projects, principally transportation related, but also public safety, education, and the like.